What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Been out here working on the Hyundai for a little bit, trying to fill in what little bit of welding that I needed to finish doing on the firewall, inside and out. Trying to finish up doing my welding on the frame rails and getting all that buttoned up so that I can do this in primer. And then I believe what I'm going to do is I'm going to primer it, and then I'm just going to do a black base coat, and then I'm going to put Dynamite on there. So because I'm covering it with Dynamite, I'm not going to grind all these welds down perfect because the Dynamite's just going to freaking cover it. So I'm going to clean it up real smooth, get it looking presentable, but I'm not going for perfection because the Dynamite's going to cover it. So I'll wind up sandblasting it before I paint it, and then I'll sandblast it, primer it, paint it. Well, I'll grind down all the big stuff, get it smooth, get it looking presentable. Then I'll sandblast everything so that I get into all the little nooks and crannies. And then I will primer it, paint it, and then put Dynamite over the entire, well, I don't know if I'm going to use name brand Dynamite, but sound deadening, the tar paper with the aluminum backing. And I'm going to put that all through the entire firewall and all through the floor after I get the floor completely done. So the front may just sit in primer and paint and not with the Dynamite right off the bat, because I may wait to put that in until I put the rear floor in, because welding, I don't want any kind of slag or anything hitting up onto the stuff that's done in the front. So I may hold off on that until I get the entire rear section completed, and then do the entire inside of the vehicle with the sound deadening. But that's my plan right now. I was going to do completely clean and prime and paint it, get it showroom quality, but all these nooks and crannies in this firewall, it's going to be very, very hard to do, and I'm trying to block the sun with my head. But all the little nooks and crannies that are inside the crevices inside this firewall are going to be extremely difficult to get perfect unless I completely fill weld them, round all the edges and everything, and then I start messing with geometry of where my pedals and my AC unit and stuff fit. And I spent a lot of time getting all that stuff to fit the way that it fits now. So I think I'm just going to clean it up the best that I can, prime and paint it, and then put Dynamite over it and call it a day. And then the inside, the firewall from the engine bay, that will be completely cleaned up. I'll get that looking as perfect as I can, because I want to do a completely smooth firewall except for the couple of places where pieces have to go through the firewall. But all the rest of the firewall, I want to try and get as smooth as possible. So we'll see how it turns out. But that's my plan right now. Hopefully that's going to work out, and we'll just see how it turns out. So as of right now, I've got an old car covering over top of the windshield, because I've been trying to weld, and it's really hard to weld when you got all this extra light coming in that's not filtered. It's coming in from the back side of the helmet, and it's causing the back side of the helmet to have more light than the front side, and I can't see my welder when I'm doing that. So I've been working on welding all this in. I've got that entire corner welded in. I've got all these pieces over here fixed. I've ground down a bunch of it. All the clutch pedal section is completely welded in and done. I just need to grind it down smooth. So I'm making a lot of progress. I'm going to continue working on the front right here. I've got a lot of this taken care of as well. A lot of this has been filled in and gone through. Now I just need to clean it back up again. And then once I get everything cleaned up, then I'm going to come out here with a sandblaster, and I'm going to sandblast the entire firewall, frame rails and everything, and prime and paint it all in one day. So hopefully that'll get everything squared away, and I'll be able to get this thing looking a lot better than it does currently. All right, everybody, so currently I'm trying to make sure that my wiring harness is going to lay out correctly, and so far everything's looking good. Everything's going to line up with the original bolt holes in the crossbar across here. I'm going to have to do a little bit of modification to the plastic covering here, but I was able to get this to go back on where it needs to go. I'm still got to clean this up and get all that prepped, but I'm just trying to make sure everything fits before I start doing all my finish work. So this is going to go right across where it used to. All this is going to, these two bolts are going to go in where they're supposed to. I'm still going to figure out what I'm going to do with this. I have a feeling what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the fitting off of the Veloster, and I'm going to switch out the fitting to where it just pops in here like the Veloster did, and then I'll just make it to where it works with this one. So that's where I'm at right now. I still got to figure out bracketry for this cover because it'll hit the headlight, so it does have to go at an angle, and I still got to fit the ABS module. So I want to make sure the ABS is going to work and the brake lines are going to work and all that, and I got to see how all this is going to line up. So that's why I'm doing all this before I continue welding all the finish work in on this. All right, guys, so the front ABS lines and control are really the only thing that I'm trying to get to fit in here currently, because this line that crosses over needs to go in before the engine, or I have to split it here in the center. It's still a pain in the butt to get it to fit, but I'm going to go ahead and get this to go into where it belongs and see what I need to do as far as bending these lines, because I did shorten the chassis by 2 inches, so I may have to bring these lines forward, which will either entail bending 90s here or kinking them here a little bit, not kinking, but bending to try and reshape them and get a little bit of movement out of them. But this controller needs to fit up here in the front corner, and I moved it back 2 inches, so that's what's really messing me up. Well, that's not what I wanted to have happen. Anyway, good. And this is the real pain in the butt right here, is making sure that I can get these to line up with the ABS controller without getting them out of order and without kinking all of them, because there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines here that I gotta manipulate to get them to fit into this ABS controller. So this ABS controller originally mounted, I want to say like that. It may have even been like that. I think that's how it was mounted, was like that. Or even, yeah, this is how it was done. It was mounted in like right there. And I can't do that because I'm hitting right here. So I have to scoot it forward. I mean, I guess I could shorten that and get it to where this will fit, or manipulate the bracket to where it swings forward, but it's not that much either. I'll have to play around with that. I might actually be able to bolt it in just like that, and then trim this out to where won't vibrate against it. All right, that's probably what I'm going to wind up doing. All right. Anyway, now I got to make sure these lines are going to fit. I might actually not have to bend these a whole lot at all, because it looks like everything's going to line up pretty damn good, except for right here in the corner. So what I may wind up doing is bending all these up and then mounting the controller right there. Then I should be able to use all my brake lines, because then I need to bend these to where they fit my master cylinder. So I need to mount the master cylinder in there and see how those are going to line up. So let me put the master cylinder in there. Alright, just a little bit of manipulation and moving them around, and hopefully I can put this where I want it. So we're going to hook these up one at a time so that I don't screw up the threads. hopefully. Hell yeah, I think that might work. I just got to get that to tuck over to the firewall right there, or to the fender well. Move all this shit out of my way from where I'm trying to fit the corners. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be pretty good. So my original rear brake lines and fuel lines from the Genesis should work. I'll just need to shorten them by about 4 inches. So I'll more than likely just do a kickback and back forward. If there's enough room for that, I'll have to figure it out when I get to that point. But looks like everything's going to work great. I'm really pleased with how this is turning out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a way to pick this way up in the air so that I can get up underneath it and finish my welding on the bottom side and get the whole bottom of the car fixed. Plus I'll be able to do the sides a little bit easier if it's up higher, because this is killing my knees. So I'm gonna raise the vehicle pretty damn high. I might even go get some jack stands that are like 4 foot or 5 foot tall and see if I can come up with a way of holding this thing up almost vertical and go from there. But I think that's the next step I'm gonna take. I'm gonna empty everything out of the car. I'm gonna take everything off the front right here except for the subframe, and then I'm gonna hook it up to the engine or to the A-frame, and I'm gonna pick the whole front of the car up as high as I can. I'll just wrap the chain right here and pick it up as high as I can, and hopefully I'll be able to do all my welding on the bottom pretty easy then. But we'll see. If it gets too close to the back end, I won't go too high because I don't want to mess up the back of the car. But I'll figure it out, and I'll damn sure videotape that because I think that's going to be pretty interesting. I've never tried it before, but I'm going to. All right, so now you can see it with the wiring harness kind of in there where it's going to go. All my grounds are going to line back up. All my clips are lining back up with where they belong. This one's going to clip right back in right there. This one's already clipped in. All of this is lining up with the bolt holes. I took this off of the Veloster harness, and I'm going to tape it up and glue it together and everything and get it sealed. And then all this is working. This is supposed to go on before the brake lines, so I still got to redo that. I had to get all this together so I could see how it all went. I may not be able to put them in front of it just because of how much I had to push the brake booster back, or the ABS controller back, I mean. But we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty certain I'm not going to be able to push them back that far. So I may have to leave the wiring harness like it is, or I may have to take that plastic cover off and just shove the wiring harness in the back and let it rock like that, which is probably what I'm going to wind up doing. I'll probably just take the harness off, or take this plastic cover off, just get more of this and wrap it, and then tuck it up underneath the brake booster back here. Get it as far away from the engine as I can. But it looks like everything's going to work out good. I'm still going to have to do a little bit of cleanup up here to get this tucked over against the frame rail, because obviously all this was scooted forward. So it's bunching up my wiring harness a little bit, but I should be able to get it to sit pretty nice. The original clips are going to work. So right here and right here. So when I pull this up there, and then there should be one more clip. Or no, I'm not back far enough. That's the problem. So this clips in there and there, and see, the harness still has to go back some more. So I think once I get rid of this plastic piece right here, it will actually free up the harness to go where it needs to go. But other than that, I think everything's going to work out pretty good. This box, I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to do what I need to do with it, because it's obviously not going to go back how it was. It hits the headlight if I put it back how it was in the Genesis, because the Veloster headlight sits right here, and this was rolled over here in the Genesis. It may have been sitting like that. I can't remember. It might sit like that. If it sits like that, then I'm freaking golden. I can sit it in there and freaking rock on. I don't think it does though. I'm pretty sure it sits this way. All right, by removing that box off of the wiring harness, I was able to get it to tuck back in where it needs to. So now everything looks like it's gonna go where I need it to go. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull all that stuff back out, and I'm gonna remove all the stuff that's in the back of the car. I got a bunch of crap back here right now. I'm gonna get all that stuff out of here, all this stuff out of here, and I'm gonna raise the front of the car up pretty much straight up and down as far as I can go. I'm gonna take the rear bumper off, move the hood, and I'm gonna pick it up and see how high I can get it. That way I can weld underneath the front. All right, I have most of the stuff inside of the car cleaned out, enough to where nothing's gonna fall out when I go to pick it up. So now I get to move this heavy ass crane and start picking the car up.
Fun.
This is the major disadvantage to doing this on dirt. Come on, motherfucker. There we go. Yeah, the major disadvantage of doing this on dirt is this is on a hill, and the whole thing wants to go that way. So I have to use this to keep it from rolling over to that side. And it's really a pain in the ass. Alright, I gotta go check it back, make sure I'm not gonna hit anything. Alright, I still got plenty of room. Well, that makes it much easier to get to a lot of this shit. I can get up underneath the bottom of it. As long as I don't stay under there too long. I'm gonna put my sawhorses underneath there. I know it's not much, but the crane will hold it. Matter of fact, I can lock the chain. There we go. That way the chain can't go anywhere. So yeah, pretty interesting. I'm gonna let you see a side profile of it. Take it off the dang tripod. So there she is. And the back end's still not touching. I could go down even more. Or I could raise the front even more, I guess I should say. But that's sketchy enough for me. I don't want it to be too sketchy. So now I'll be able to weld all my spots on the bottom of the frame rails. As long as I just keep my head and body out from underneath it while I'm doing it, should be all right. Put some sawhorses underneath there to help support it as well, and have the chain locked. So I think I should be all right. I'll put another safety chain from here around the boom to here so that it can't drop. But yeah, I'm probably gonna have it up like this for probably about a week. All right, guys, I think that's where I'm gonna wrap up this video. I think in the next video, I should be able to get the entire inside firewall completely prepped and primed and painted, hopefully. I've still got some little filler panels that I got to make for the front, for the corners where the fender wells meet up to the body. So I still got to make a couple panels there. Nothing big, but hopefully get all that done and then be able to sandblast and paint the exterior firewall. And then I'll start putting the dashboard and the engine and transmission and everything in there, and get it ready to where I'm able to start tearing the rear end apart. Now, I will not tear the rear end apart until I cut these trees down out here. So I've got 5-6 trees that I need to cut down before I can tear the rear end out of that car, because that car has to be able to move so that I can then get it out of the way when I drop these trees. But they're a threat to the house. It's the only reason I'm cutting them down, is because they're a threat to the house. If they weren't right up on the freaking edge of the house, I'd leave them alone, because I got 22 acres out here with a bunch of 100-foot tall trees. I don't mind them, but the ones right here next to my house are a serious threat, especially with the hurricanes that we've had coming through here and stuff, and the high winds. I already had one tree fall and kill all 3 of my dogs. So I don't need anything to happen where one falls and crushes my house or cuts it in half or anything like that. So once I get those trees cut down, then I'll be able to do the rear end, and I'll remove the entire rear floor pan, start fitting the Genesis rear floor pan in there. And then once I get the rear end actually fit and welded in and everything, then I should be in the home stretch. Should be a little bit of finish work, and then designing the front fenders and front bumper for it, depending on what route I go. But that's neither here nor there. As long as I can move it under its own power, that's my goal. I can design the front end later. So anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'll keep you posted when I do more work to it, but it's moving along pretty good. And now that the weather's starting to cool off, I can get more work done, because I'm not out here sweating like crazy and having to stop and take breaks because I'm overheated. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you in the next video. Have a great one.